Hey everyone, I'm Caleb, and we're going to be doing one of my favorite horses today. He's a half draft horse, he's half Percheron, and he is a really cool horse, one of the funnest to do. He stands really good, as you'll see in this video. He's just a gentle giant, and I really enjoyed doing him. So this is his first set of shoes for the year. Where I live, generally we pull the shoes in November or December, and we put them back on in March or April. In the higher country, it could be as late as May or June when we start putting shoes on. So right here, I'm just cleaning out the foot, getting all the manure, rocks, gravel, anything else that's become lodged in the bottom of the hoof. You might hear my breathing in the background. I've got a new mic and I haven't quite figured out placement. And so it picks up my breathing a little more than I would like. I think some people realize, but a lot of people don't. This is an extremely physical job. It's a lot of cardio, believe it or not. The rasping especially is cardio. Here I'm just getting rid of all the dead sole in the bottom of the foot, and I'm knifing the frog. My knives were a little dull. I needed to sharpen them on this particular day, but he was the last horse of the day, and so I was trying to get by without sharpening my knife. You can kind of see here how the frog's kind of tore up a little bit. You'll see right there I'm digging out kind of a hole. There's some gravel in there. Got to make sure that we get as much of that cleaned out as we can so we don't develop thrush.
Hey, buddy.
Thrush is a anaerobic bacteria, so the best defense against it is letting it have oxygen. It just kills it off super quick, and that's why we knife out frogs.
Just kind of drop them a little bit.
Gonna nip the foot. You can see here how wide his hoof wall is. He's actually a really, really big horse. You'll get to see him at the end of this video. Super important to keep your nippers nice and flat as you go around the foot. That way, when you go to rasp it flat, there's not as much work to do. I've gotten several questions in the last couple of videos about the rasp that I use. I'm using a Mustad Heller XL. We call him a green tang, and that's in reference to the green tang at the top of the rasp that we attach our handle to. This is personally my favorite rasp. I love the way it finishes a foot. The soft side just makes a really nice, pretty finish when you get done, and it stays sharper, I think, longer than a lot of the other rasps I've tried. So what I'm doing here is I'm shaping the foot. I'm making the hoof wall even or the same width all the way around and putting into it the shape that the hoof would naturally have. Then I rasp out the distortion from the top. So this is what we call taking length, and when I nip the bottom of the hoof, it's called taking depth. So we don't do this just to make the foot pretty. We do this to get rid of any distortion that this foot has. And in these draft horses, generally speaking, they get a lot of distortion because of the weight that they have on top of this hoof. I mean, look at the sheer size of his bones compared to basically a quarter horse. Like, that's an absolutely massive bony column coming down to the hoof.
Jeb standing here, the wind was blowing his way. Remember how nervous he was the last time?
Again, we're going to get as much distortion out of that foot as we can.
That was good for him.
Feel like they have anywhere to
Go.
So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to mark the lateral branches of the shoes that I'm going to use. The reason I do this is I put both shoes in the forge at the same time, and when I pull them out, I don't have to guess on which one goes to which foot. So I mark the outside branches, the lateral branch of the shoe. There's my shoeing trailer. Throw those in there and get them hot. I need to get a little better lighter. I end up burning my thumb half the time here. Okay, now we're going to shape it up. So I'm going to put a toe into the shoe, straighten the quarters a little bit, and then bring the heel around. So I measure the foot while I'm at the horse, and you'll see that later in this video. I didn't get it on this foot. But I measure it, and I kind of try to remember the shape of the foot, and then I go to the anvil and try to replicate that shape. And then I measure the shoe to see if I match the measurements of the foot. So he's kind of got some straight quarters. The quarter is where I'm hitting right there. And then I'm bringing the heel in just a little bit. I used to use a stall jack to shape shoes, which is, in my opinion, highly inefficient. I've only been using an anvil horn for about 6 months, so I'm still figuring out how to shape on an anvil, and it really takes years to understand the horn. Now I'm checking the fit. So I don't hard burn him here. I kind of look and make sure that everything's sitting where I want it to. I went back to the anvil at that point and made a minor adjustment, and then I came back to burn him. Burning the shoe to the foot, it doesn't hurt the horse. What it does is it marries the shoe to the hoof. If there's anything that I didn't quite get flat with my rasp, I make sure my shoe's flat, and then I can burn that shoe. I've also noticed when I started hot fitting stuff, I got rid of a lot of my thrush problems. I always hate that. I actually got new tongs, hot fit tongs now, that don't let the shoe fall off of them like that. Now you can see that it's burned all the way around except in that one quarter, but that's okay. It's just a little bit. I'm not going to worry about that. So we're grinding on the foot surface of the shoe. So this is the portion of the shoe that lays up against the hoof. And this is called boxing. We take off any sharp edges that he could catch with one of his other feet. And we grind almost right up to where our burn mark from when we hot fit the shoe. This is called safing. This is done to the ground surface of the shoe, and we safe that medial inside heel so that he doesn't cut himself if he happens to step over on his other leg. This is actually probably one of my favorite hats. They're out of Badger Build LLC. I don't have to have the nails in my mouth anymore. It's amazing. I love it. I've also changed, I got to do something with my mic. It's a little too close to me, and so it keeps picking up my heavy breathing. So now you can see where the burn is, and we're going to get rid of any sole pressure. We don't want the sole to be touching the shoe, because that can cause lameness. And then there's also like a little burr that gets built up after you burn a shoe, so that's why I'm rasping just a little bit. Okay, now we're going to nail up the shoe. So I like to nail the third nail holes back. That's what I do. That's the first nails that I drive. Unless I'm doing something like a toe clip or a quarter clip, but we'll talk about that on a different day. So the nails that are furthest back, you pitch less, so they're pointed more towards the outside of the hoof wall because the hoof wall is more sheer at this point. It's more straight up and down. So I'm just checking to make sure everything pops out. You want to get your nails as high as you can. If your shoe fits right, you can drive them as high as they'll go. Actually, I was talking to the owners in this video, and I was saying if I had a little longer nail, I could get them a little higher. You want your nails high. The hoof wall is more stable the further up you drive the nails. And if the horse happens to pull the shoe off, it won't pull the hoof wall off with it. It'll break the clinches and just pull the nails out. So that nail just barely popped out, like just a little bit was showing. So I needed to get it to pop out just a little lower so I could clinch it. So what I did is I bent the tip of the nail just a little bit towards the outside of the hoof wall so it'd pop out a little sooner. I was actually super happy with the fit on this horse. I mean, that is the kind of fit that I try to get on all my horses. I don't always get it quite this good, but I was really happy with this. A lot of people have commented, they're like, well, your shoe's hanging over the side. Yes, that's what you want. This is a perimeter fit. We want enough room for expansion so that as the horse grows over the next 6 weeks, the shoe will still be supporting the hoof wall at the end of that 6-week period. So we're clinching the nails up. We try to get our nail lines as straight as we can. But you can see those nails are pretty high. Honestly, we could have driven them higher, except my nails are too short. I was really happy with this fit. It really looked nice when I got done with this hoof. I've been working really hard on my fit. I've been trying to be way better at it and way more precise with it. So I was really happy with that foot. So on this foot, I did not get the camera started when we started this foot, so you don't get to see the frog get knifed out or anything like that, but you get to see the nipping. Same deal. Want to nip as flat as we can so we don't have to do as much work with our rasp. You'll notice with these draft horses that the frog is massive. And the frog acts as a shock absorbent. So it only makes sense that these bigger horses have a big frog. They're proportional. Everything is bigger on a bigger horse. Where we start to see problems in the horse world is when we have selective breeding get in the way, where you have a big horse with tiny feet. And we see this a lot in the quarter horse world, and it's really unfortunate because it's not ideal for the horse at all. So this is what I was talking about. I'm going to measure the foot. I'm going to take those measurements, and then I'm going to picture the shape of the foot when I go to the anvil so I can shape my shoe appropriately for the hoof. Again, we're going to get rid of all the distortion that we can. This is just, he has such nice feet, this horse. They're nice, strong feet. He's on a schedule too, that helps. These draft horses, if they're not on a schedule, they just flare out really bad and they get really wonky really fast. You can see that finish that I was talking about with these rasps, how I like the finish that they put on a hoof, how it gets super shiny. Again, we're getting rid of all the distortion that we can. So we have nice straight hoof horn to nail to. The hoof wall is roughly the same thickness, a little over 2/3 of the way up the hoof. So basically it's not quite the same thickness just below the coronary band, but it should be the same thickness if you're getting rid of distortion properly all the way down from there. So we're going to shape this shoe again. The anvil swing out here is a Vanville. It has made my life so much better. I love the Vanville. It just makes it so much easier to get my anvil in and out of the truck. I don't have to lift it anymore. It just folds down on and It's a great anvil stand and anvil swing out. By the end of the day, packing a 100-pound anvil in and out of the truck gets old. So what I'm doing here is flattening the shoe, making sure that it's nice and flat. And now we're going to take our measurements. And that's about where we want it. Just make sure that shoe's nice and flat. And that's super important if you're going to burn, because you don't want to burn an unlevel shoe into the foot. You can see that I've already checked my fit, and now we're just going to burn it on. And this horse is so nice. He just does everything so well. He's standing here nice and calm, doesn't care. And honestly, he could launch me if he so desired. He's a big horse. You can see the burn pattern on the shoe. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to safe it so he doesn't cut himself if he happens to take a bad step or one foot comes over the top of the other one. We don't want any sharp edges that can hurt him. And then we're going to box the shoe. So I'm looking at the burn marks. So I don't want to box beyond the burn mark because that's where the hoof is. I just want to box right up to the burn mark or right short of the burn mark. So roughly a 32nd of an inch or so all around the outside of the shoe.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Taking out any sole pressure that we've got. Take the burr off. Big thanks to Hoof It USA. You can see their hoof stand right here in the video. It makes doing big horses like this so much easier. I don't know what I'd do without my hoof stand. This is the best hoof stand I've ever used. Can't recommend them enough. If you're a farrier, you need one of these hoof stands. If you've got a bad back, you need one of these hoof stands. Just checking our fit, make sure everything looks good. Then we'll nail it up. I think this is a size 5 shoe on here. I mean, this horse is a big horse. If you shape your shoe properly, you do not have to worry. You can just drive your nails. They go right where you want them to go. You're not fighting to get height, and you're not ending up too low or quicking them. A lot of farriers are really worried about quicking a horse. If you shape your shoe properly, you won't quick them because the nails will go right in the white, right at the edge of the white line, the outside edge of the white line, up into the hoof wall and out. So I can hear when I'm driving a nail when it pops out and if it's in the right spot too as well. So we're listening, watching, and feeling everything as we do this job. We'll cut what's left of the nails. But you can see like those nails are nice and high in that hoof wall and they're not causing him any discomfort at all. One of the most common misconceptions I come across when I'm shoeing horses is that people have been told that high nails are dangerous. And that's just not the case. If you're shaping your shoe properly and you're doing your due diligence when you're shaping the shoe, you don't have to worry about how high you drive those nails. You know, obviously there's some things that affect nail height, size of the foot. thickness of hoof wall. This horse has a thick hoof wall. I don't hardly have to worry about it at all with him. We're rasping those clinches to make sure there's nothing sharp. It's all about the safety of the horse. Well, that'll about do it for today. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and like I promised, you're going to get to see Jeb here. He is just one of the coolest horses I get to work on. I'm very lucky to be his farrier, and he's a lot of fun. These horses make my job an absolute joy. So with that, hope you all enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe.